One of the strongest recollections I have from childhood that really started to open things up with my mediumship was when our neighbor, Mr. Jones, died. I'm about 6 or 7, and I didn't understand the concept of death, that no one had talked to me about it. No one had described what it was. I overheard my parents in the kitchen. They were talking about, Mr. Jones had died and the family was there. They were going to sell the house. And this was the conversation. And Mr. Jones lived in the house by himself, and his wife had died a few years before. And again, I'm a little girl. I had no idea what that meant. And the next day I was in the backyard playing, and I looked up and there was Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones didn't have gray hair. Mr. Jones had really dark hair. And Mr. Jones didn't look like he was old. He was a young version of himself. And Mr. Jones was wearing glasses. And Mr. Jones didn't have his cane. And just for a brief moment, he looked over the fence and he waved at me and said, "Hi." And I said, "Hi." And just in that blink, he was gone. I remember standing there thinking, why would they say he died? What does it mean that he died? He looks different. So I ran in the house. I said, "Mom, Mom, I just saw Mr. Jones." And she dropped the stuff in the sink and she looked at me. She said, "What?" I said, "I just saw Mr. Jones. But Mr. Jones, he didn't have gray hair, Mom. Mom, he wasn't wearing his glasses. Mom, he waved at me. He didn't have his cane. Mom, Mom, do you want to come and see him?" And she lost her shit. She started screaming at me, "What's wrong with you? Why would you say something like that? You wait till your father gets home." And I'm thinking, what did I do? What did I do? And in that moment, I wanted to get as far away from her as I possibly could because I felt wrong. I felt like seeing Mr. Jones was wrong. It was bad somehow, that I did something wrong. So I ran into my room and I shut the door. And I hid in the closet. And I waited till my dad came home. And sure enough, my mom told him, "You're not going to believe what Shauna said. She said she saw Mr. Jones." And my dad laughed. He sort of chuckled. And then he came into my room and he checked on me. He's like, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." My mom, she was known to be intense, is the word we'll use. And anytime I talked about spirit, seeing spirit, connecting with spirit, communicating with spirit, she would just lose her mind. And so I started to not share as much. Because you see, I saw spirit everywhere. And I called them the see-through people. They were everywhere. They were walking down the street. They were in the store. They were at school. They were absolutely everywhere. And that experience taught me to fear a gift and capacity that came so natural to me. It taught me to start to really question, what did I see? What was real? And you see, I'm going to date myself now. We didn't have anyone on TV talking about it. We didn't have any books to read. And we went to Catholic school. So spirit communication wasn't something that was readily talked about. It wasn't something that was normalized in my house. So this was when I was a young girl. And again, I saw see-through people everywhere. I thought everyone saw what I saw. And I quickly started to figure out that they didn't. Fast forward to grade 4, there was a student picked for each week. So that student would get to write the date on the board every day. That student would get to take a special gift from the gift basket every week. That student was the teacher's helper for the week. It was a coveted position. And I waited probably half the year before it was my turn. And when it was my turn, I was so excited. And I didn't really get to help the teacher. I was kind of waiting and hoping that I would get to do something like I saw the other kids doing. And then on the last day, each child was given an award, the most tidy, or the best the best writing or printing or the greatest helper or whatever it was. My award was for having my head in the clouds. And the entire class, including my teacher, roared. Like, I mean, roared. She was crying. She was laughing so hard. Here's this little girl who's aware of spirit energy, who's empathic, who's intuitive, who's picking up on God only knows what. And she was ostracized and bullied and made fun of in front of her friends, in front of an adult. And in that moment, I shrunk. I had to go to the front of the class to get my award, and they were all laughing and snickering at me. And I was holding back the tears. And she said, "Oh, here's your gift." And she handed me a book. She said, "I think you need to read more." So I went home again, feeling different, feeling like I didn't belong, feeling like I didn't fit in. And on the way home, I remember my loved ones were with me and my guides and my angels were with me. And I told them all to shut up and stop talking to me. And I told them all to leave me alone because I have no friends. Nobody wants to play with me. So that day, I made it my mission that I wasn't going to talk to spirit and I wasn't going to have my head in the clouds and I was going to be focused and I was going to have friends and I was going to have people to have lunch with. So here I am, this little girl who, we all have this inherent need to belong, to fit in. My mother completely ostracized me. And I just slowly over time dialed back my capacities with mediumship, my awareness of the spirit world. So we continue on. I was always sort of aware of stuff. Like people thought I was fun to have at parties because I would just know, oh, you drive a red Ford. How did you know that? So there was always something that was there I was aware of, and I didn't see the see-through people as much. I just really wanted to fit in. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. I wanted to feel normal. Fast forward to about 20 years ago. I decided to ride the zip line here in Calgary. And at that time, the zip line was the fastest in the world. Yes. And I remember the day that we were going, I went with my sister and one of her friends and my nephew was going with us. And we were so excited. And Joshua and I were going to go down together. And I just had this weird feeling in my heart. I really couldn't put my finger on it, but I had this weird feeling in my heart. And they release us and we fly down. And now the impact, like it didn't just swing and let you sort of slow down. There was this huge sort of cushion kind of a thing. And you had to tuck your knees up and kind of scrunch yourself into a ball to brace yourself for the impact. It was imperative that they had people sign waivers. Yes. Just before impact, I looked up in the sky and I saw the most incredible, radiant, breathtaking angel. And as soon as I made impact, I saw stars and I knew that something had happened. I didn't quite know what it was. I would spend the next 6 years going to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor, specialist after specialist after specialist. I saw the chiropractor at least once a week. I lived with chronic pain, post-concussion syndrome. Yeah, it was pretty horrible. And I would get, my daughter tucked into bed at night. It would take everything in me to get through the day. And then at night, I had to be in complete darkness and silence because the headaches were just so intense. And I was lying in bed one night and I hadn't fallen asleep yet. And I felt someone sit on the bed next to me. And I heard this voice that said, "Don't give up. I'm here and I love you. Don't you dare give up. Don't stop. I'm here. We're going to figure this out." And I would doze off to sleep, feeling this energy sitting beside me, caressing me, touching me. And then one day, I went to this festival. It was like the women's show or something here in Calgary. And there was this booth, and it had psychics and intuitives and body talkers, and it had the woo. It had the woo people. And I remember walking by, and it's like it lit up to me. And I stopped and I went over and I said, hi. And I grabbed a card. I had no idea what any of this was. So they had Reiki, they were doing readings, all sorts of stuff. And I took a card and I went home. And it was like that card would not stop chirping. And within a couple of days I booked a session. And they would become my community. And Tracy became my first teacher. And I'm so grateful for her. And through my work with her, I worked at her center. I started to connect with angels. I did angel readings. I became a Reiki master, all the woo. And then one day she called and she said, you've got to get down here. And these are her words. She goes, there's this fucking Russian here. His name's Leo. She goes, I don't know what he's doing yet. I haven't figured it out. It's fucking amazing. You've got to get down here for your neck. So I went and he said to me, what happened? And I said, well, I had this accident. And he said, huh, okay. So I worked with him. I worked with him on and off for about 2 years. And just for shits and giggles, I went to have an MRI because I felt so great. Like I felt fantastic. And remember, specialist after specialist after specialist said, there's nothing we can do. It's inoperable. I had a herniated disc between C6 and C7. They said, you're lucky to be alive. Be thankful that you can ride your bike. Be thankful that you can spend time with your family. There's nothing that we can do. And again, I kept hearing that voice and I felt somebody sit on the bed every night telling me, don't you dare give up. I love you. We're going to figure this out. And I remember after the first few sessions with Leo, hearing that voice again. It's okay. We're figuring it out. You're going to completely heal. You'll be fine. A couple of years later, I went for an MRI just for shits and giggles. And the doctor came in and he said, we've got the wrong file. This says that you had a cervical spine injury. And there's anything there. I'm sorry, we've got the wrong file. And it was in that moment that I realized that I had been taken care of, that I wasn't alone. And then I heard the voice again. And I learned and figured out that it was my grandmother. It was my grandmother. She had transitioned several years before. And that's who was sitting next to me. That's who was always there. That's when I was, the days when it was really difficult and I couldn't function. I couldn't get out of bed. She was there with me. She would sit with me. And it was in that moment that I realized that something big had happened. Something big had happened. So I was guided to become a Reiki master teacher. And I started seeing clients at the house. I hadn't told anybody that I was a Reiki master teacher. I thought, no, this is for me. I'm not touching people. And Reiki is full body. The mom and me tucks everybody in. We put an eye mask on. We have essential oils. We have music playing. It's relaxing. It recenters, it grounds, it energizes, it rebalances the energy field around the body. And it just helps to balance everything out and it helps the body to heal. It releases stress. And I had a client, she's one of my golden oldies, Rebecca, one of my very first clients. She came to the house and during her session, I heard, hi, I'm Harold. And I looked up and Rebecca's dozing, like she's in a deep, deep sleep. And I look up and there's an older gentleman sitting in the corner of the room. And in my mind, I'm talking to him. I said, hello. He said, I'm connected to her husband. They had a little baby boy and they've given him, my name is his middle name. And he showed me the farm and he talked about, he referenced the month that he died. Showed me his suspenders. He wore suspenders every day. I think there was a harmonica in there too, if I remember correctly. And then I looked at her and I looked at him again and he was gone. And I thought, oh God, they're back. I don't know. Oh no, they're back. And I thought, I can't tell her this. She'll think I'm batshit crazy. I can't tell her this. She came for Reiki. What am I going to say? She's going to think I'm nuts. She's going to think I'm crazy. All of the stuff came up. And I said to the universe, I said, you're going to have to give me the words. I don't know what to say. So she sat up, and then I shared with her. And she looked at me, she said, that is so cool. Oh my God. You can see dead people? I said, yeah. She called me the next day and she said, Wayne just about passed out when I told him his grandfather was his favorite person. He grew up on the farm. He had suspenders, wore them all the time. And he said, there's no fucking way she could have Googled any of that. There's no way she would have known that. And it was from that moment forward that the loved ones were back. And it was such an incredible journey to start to really connect back in again and really look at the fears and clear all the stuff from my childhood and all the judgments and everywhere that I felt like I wasn't good enough or I was weird or I didn't belong. It was really quite profound. And then we fast forward a few more years. And so by this time, Emma was probably, I want to say 6, maybe 7. And I went home one day and I'd been working with clients and healing. And she looked at me and she said, when is my brother going to be here? Like, isn't he supposed to be in your tummy by now? Like, I've got books to read to him. When's he coming? And I just froze. I said, what? What did you just say? And she said, he's here. Look. And there was a little boy sitting on the couch beside her. And I froze. I froze. You see, we hadn't planned to have more children. Emma had a severe blockage when she was a little girl. And it was trying. It was really difficult. She had a major surgery. Thankfully, everything went well. And we decided, no, we're good. We're good. We have this one sweet miracle baby. We're good. And then I started to dream of Jack. I started to dream of him every night. We would go flying. And it was the most incredible experience. And I remember telling my husband at the time that there was this little boy, and what would he think if we had another child? Would he consider that? And he said, I would if it was a boy. And I said, what if I said it was a boy? I feel a boy. And he named him Jack. And we started in vitro. Then things didn't go according to plan. And I don't go into the story because it's tender. And that's not something that I need to talk about all the time. But we had an opportunity. And in the blink of an eye, it was gone. And Jack was gone. And my now ex-husband, he wouldn't entertain the idea of other alternatives. He wouldn't look at adoption or anything. And so my dream of having another child stopped that day. And it was through that experience, through losing Jack, that I found me. It was through losing my son that I connected into parts of my heart that I don't know if they were ever opened. I don't know if they were ever explored. It was through losing Jack that I really connected back in and really stepped back into my love of mediumship. And no one can fucking take that from me. I will never dull that for anyone. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. And so my journey through mediumship has been filled with a myriad of emotions and experiences. And you fast forward to today, Jack would have been 12 this year. And he's why I do what I do. And I know in my heart that if he was meant to be here in the physical with me, he would be. But there will be a conversation. When I transition, there will be a conversation with God. She and I are going to have a conversation. Yes, I said she. Because even mediums don't have all the answers. There isn't a psychic, intuitive medium on the planet that I've met or encountered that's 100%. We're not God. And so my journey through mediumship, as painful as it's been, as lonely as it's been fearful, it brought me back to who I am. It brought me back to the essence of who I truly am and what I'm here to share with the world. And I just love making that connection for people. I just love Love it when they know the signs from their loved ones. I love it when the loved ones come in and start talking about stuff from the past and bringing up crazy memories and talking about the weddings and talking about babies and all the things. I love it because mediumship is a celebration of life. And even though our loved ones no longer have their physical body, they are 100% alive in spirit. And they're rooting for our success. They sit close when we're grieving. They come closer when we're in pain. They're sending us signs from the other side. They're visiting our dreams. They're with us. They give us hope. They give us hope. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm blessed to work with such incredible communities. We have a beautiful community on TikTok, and we're branching out to YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. I'm blessed to work with clients one-on-one and to teach classes and really normalize mediumship for people. I was terrified at times. I was scared. I wouldn't say shit if my mouth was full of it. And now I teach people how to step into it and embrace it. Mediumship is a real gift and capacity. And if you've made it this far and you'd like to learn how to make that connection, you can join me this weekend. I actually have my foundational class this weekend coming up, February 22nd and 23rd. I run this class a few times a year. It's in person. I'll help you to clear anything that's preventing you from making that connection. I will help you understand what your strongest gifts are. I'll help you to understand how the information flows, how we connect. We create a sacred space. We have fun. I bring my loved ones in for you to practice because I need you to know that you're doing it. I need you to build that confidence. We do that in the class. And then day 2 is your loved ones. And again, at the end of the class, you will know without a doubt how to create that sacred space, how to connect, how to decipher the information. And then it becomes a part of your everyday. It becomes a part of your everyday. And just as you think of your loved one, their energy comes closer. So right now in this moment, just think of a loved one. Ping, their energy just came closer. It is that easy. I always tell people you don't need to be a medium to connect with your loved ones. You see, I've got the bird's eye view. I don't have the emotions. So I don't experience the emotions, the grief, the sadness, any shame, any guilt. I just sit in the vibration of love. And then I'm able to connect with your loved ones and channel through that information and the messages for you. It's pretty powerful. So that is my journey with mediumship. I would love to hear your experiences. Please feel free to drop me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to learn about mediumship, if I can help in any way, shape, or form, please don't hesitate to reach out. I send you all my love.